You're now tuned in to Flavor in Your Ear. Flavor in Your Ear.
And she, finishes her story and moves off stage. And I remember hearing a little voice in the back of my head that said, "What about you?" And I remember thinking, yeah, how different would my life have been had I learned to love myself? Had I not been constantly looking for validation from men and from, everybody else to prove my worth, what if my own self-love was enough? And of course, right. I just kind of brushed that off, and the next speaker takes the stage, and it's a woman who starts talking about her 20-year battle with mental illness and suicidal ideologies, and how she had struggled so much in her life until she learned to accept her mental illness as part of her. Instead of fighting to keep the darkness at bay, she embraced it and pulled it in so the light could shine in. And how everything had changed when she had learned to stop fighting and just accept it and love that part of her as well. And again, I'm sitting there and I hear that little voice in my head that says, "What about you?" And I'm thinking, yeah, what about you? What if you could have, learned to embrace the darkness instead of fighting against it? What if you would have accepted that mental illness is part of your life and stopped trying to fight it? And, I'm sitting there, and again, I just brushed this off because, my decision was already made. And then the last speaker comes on and takes the stage, and it's a gentleman, and he's talking about how his marriage had fallen apart, how he had lost custody of his kids, how he had dealt with alcoholism, mental illness, depression, suicidal ideologies, and how he had spent a year trying to find the perfect mix of pain medication and alcohol so he could commit suicide but make it look like an accidental overdose, because he sold life insurance and he knew what he had to do to make sure his kids received a payout. And now, and actually the moment that he found that perfect mix of drugs and alcohol was on a night that he had rare overnight visitation with his kids. And as he was laying on his couch, slowly overdosing, he heard a voice say, "No, not like this. There's more." And he got to his cell phone, was able to call help, got to the hospital. He got the help he needed. He got clean and sober, got into therapy, and realized that everything he had experienced, he could share with other people in hopes of, inspiring someone, to give them hope, to know that they weren't alone. And as he finished his story, I'm sitting in that seat again, and I'm kind of like, what is going on right now? Like, why am I hearing these stories? Like, I'm almost looking around for a hidden camera, but I'm thinking, I've just come to an event that I didn't want to come to. I have heard 3 stories that have touched on the 3 areas of my life that I've struggled the most with. And I've just heard people sharing so rawly about how they have overcome it. And I'm thinking to myself, this can't be by accident that I'm sitting here. Right. I am here for a reason. And, I kind of realized afterwards that it was that moment that, because I had made my decision and I was at peace with the decision of ending my life, that I got really quiet inside. There was no more internal chatter fighting. That when I got really quiet, I was able to hear the messages that I needed to hear, the messages of, you can love yourself, you can accept yourself. All those messages I need to hear, I got quiet enough to hear. And it was in that moment that, I say for me that I found my purpose. And that was being able to go, you know what, I understand and relate to these people. I've had experiences similar to that. And maybe by me choosing to live and not just survive, but thrive, and to share my stories as they have, I can go out and save a life like the one I felt I hadn't been able to save.
Mm-hmm.
And I made that decision. I said it was like a light switch moment. Like, I decided sitting in that chair that I was going to live. And I, after that afternoon session, I approached the lady who organized the workshop, and I said, I really need to let you know what this event has meant to me. because I felt like I had to tell her that my life had been saved in that moment.
Right.
And I sat down with her and shared it with her. And I said, I would love to come back next year and speak at your workshop. And she was like, absolutely. I want you to come back and share your story. So the next year I went back and I stood on that same stage and I shared my story. And I remember before I got off the stage, I said, my purpose in sharing everything I have gone through is just to give hope. It's to let people know that you're not alone. That I see you, I hear you. And if I can, provide hope and save just one life, everything I have gone through has been worth it. And I remember getting off the stage and having a woman that had been in the audience come up to me before I was walking out of the room, because I was trying to get out of the room as fast as I could. And she says, hey, you know how you said you wanted to save a life? And I said, yeah. And she says, I just want you to know that today you did. And she turned and walked away. And I was sitting there, and again, everything was so quiet. And I heard that little voice in the back of my head, and it said, now let's go find one more. So for me, every day is about finding one more. It's reaching one more person that needs to know they're not alone, that, it's okay what they've gone through, and it's okay to not be okay in this moment, but that there is hope and you can get to that point where life is worth living. And so that's why I come on these shows and I take the opportunities to share my experiences and my struggles and my story of hope.
Man, that's a lot there, Charlene. And me being just totally natural, just everything you said, like the fact that you're able to say it is just like, that's commendable. And the fact that you were able to transform it into what you are now, into what you're doing now, is nothing short of awesome. You literally, I'm not a stranger per se, but you literally was able to. And I'm questioning, like I'm just telling you in our green screen room, like, oh man, you've been busy, so I know you've told this story over and over and over and over again, and you still find a silver lining in being able to end it in a positive note to help somebody else. That's huge. That is beyond commendable. Like it's tough to put into words because I feel like words are limited as far as expression and how I felt when I was hearing you say that, right? Like, it's like, man, and anytime that you feel like it's, something in your past that you said you want to end it all, but you're still here today and you found a way and a reason and a purpose to overcome that and help others. I love it. I wish I had the words to be able to accurately express how proud I am of the person you are just by being able to do that, because one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because I have my own personal struggles, right? And I'm a military member, so it's always a stigma of how you should be, where you should be, and you deal with things in life that you weren't expected to deal with. And majority of people, not majority, maybe a good portion of people fold, and they may end their life, and they may not try to, persevere and stuff like that. And that's true. That's super true. And I feel what you're saying. And we don't understand the courage that it takes to relive a moment in your past that obviously, it was not the best moment that you can recollect and talk about, but you have the courage to come on, and I'm not the only podcast that you probably talk to, and you able to come here and relive that moment, and still at the end of your synopsis or your account are able to say, I want to help just one person. And to those who listen out here to me, right, I'm a firm believer. I'm a new, semi-new podcast. I've only been podcasting about a year, but I said I don't care about numbers. I don't care about anything like that. I said, if I can get people who can send a message and if we just get one listener to get motivated, to stop doing something that was unhealthy for them, I feel like I'm accomplished in doing that way. And I got that from what you were saying about everything you went through. And I really commend you, Charlene, for being able to express that, because life throws a lot of things at you, right? And we always get sucked into seeing what's publicized of life, but that's a small percentage of what life is, right? Everyone has a grandfather, everyone has an aunt, everyone has family members, and I'm quite sure there are people who have a story similar to yours, but they caved it inside because they're too afraid to talk about it. They're too afraid to bring it to the, to the light because of the fact of what they feel others will say. I really want to say, from me personally, I don't know who out there listening how they may feel about your synopsis, but I want to say thank you, Charlene Madden, for being able to come on this show at this time. And I know in my heart you've said this story over and over again, and you're so natural with being able to show it, and explain it and still be passionate about it. And that's very underrated. That's very, very underrated. I really thank you for that, because that's heavy. That's heavy. That's heavy to deal with. And I'm glad that I want others to know out there that one person can be able to take a very dark, heavy, and negative experience and be able to transform into something good. We know it's not easy. We know it's not ideal. We know it takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of mental, resetting, just to say, like, man, am I tripping here? Or, should I keep going? It takes a lot. She has kids. She has children, and a lot of people have children, and that's not even their reason to keep going, Charlene, I don't want to get into like a soapbox here. I'm speaking naturally from the heart, right now. And I want you to know that I really feel honored that I was able to gather your story. I know there are a lot of people that may listen to you and they may not express, how appreciative they are, but I want to let you know live here on the air that I appreciate you being able to share your story.
And I want to say thank you for providing this platform. I mean, I don't always get the time to say it on air with hosts, but I mean, the platform that you guys provide, I don't think sometimes you guys are aware of the ripples that you're sending out into this world, but that, if we each just reach one, each one reach one, that's all we're trying to do. So
I love it. And you're going to make me, I'm going to continue podcasting, because of things like this is the reason when I said, do I want a podcast? Because I didn't want to be a radio host. I didn't want to be trendy topics. I didn't want to talk about celebrities. I wanted to talk to real people, wherever they are in the world. When the pandemic hit and we had all these different ways to engage, remotely like this, I said, man, I want to gather people's stories. I know there's someone who's normal like me, blue collar person like me, who's going through something. And if I can find a way to get their story out there to listeners, that's my calling right there. And that's my contribution to the world. So I feel like you're the perfect reason for why I do this, Charlene. Like that's true to my heart. It really is. And anybody out there who is struggling or maybe having thoughts, we're not normalizing, going through these experiences, but we're normalizing growing from those experiences and not ending your life, and knowing that you too can have a purpose. Because had Charlene not been here today, she wouldn't have been able to take the warm words that I've had for her today, and the encouragement I have for her today, and me to give her flowers while she's here. We can't take that for granted. So many things happen in the world, so many influences, so much on our shoulders. And to be a woman and to be dealing with this is, man, being a mother is already a task, and I know that. And it's just another another brick on the huge wall where I'll continue to support women empowerment and women to have their voices out there. My biggest platform, my biggest supporters have been women, all races, all genders, all colors, because I've made an assertive effort to share women's stories, right? And I didn't understand that, as much early on, about how much they go through. But when I have a son. When I saw my son get born, I was like, wow, this is what their body goes through. Like, I don't know if I can do that and still be like, okay, right? So to do that with multiple children and to deal with another partner and to deal with all of the things you deal with, and you're here today on the 16th of 2022 in April, able to be head up high and explain what you went through to help somebody else. Absolutely commendable. Absolutely commendable. I can't say enough.
And I always like to get my little, well, it's not a plug-in, but I always like to say, because I know for me, feeling all alone and not feeling like anybody understood what I was experiencing, as I said in my story. So I always like to end a podcast with, if you're feeling alone in a dark place and you feel like you don't have anyone to reach out to or talk to or anyone that understands, please find me on social media and please message me. Find me on Facebook. That's usually my quickest response is Facebook. And I will come and sit virtually with you in the dark until you're ready to rise up into the light, because I don't want anyone to ever feel alone in the darkness, because you're not. As long as I'm here, you're never going to be alone in that dark place. So please reach out if you need help.
And that's really big about higher calling, giving people options not to go through what you went through. That's nothing short of awesome and amazing. And I want to glorify people like you. Let me make this clear. There's no problem with millionaires and famous people going through their problems, because they're regular people too, but they don't get as much publicity. And we don't get as much publicity for normal people, us folks that go through these things, who, everyday people, women that go through these things. That's why I do this. That's why. You spoke about social media, Charlene. So let everyone know while we wrap up, how to find you anywhere: website, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, anything you may have. May you please let anyone out there know who. And I'm quite sure there has to be someone who heard this episode to say, you know what, she's going through exactly what I'm going through right now, and they may not have an outlet. So Charlene is here today, and I feel like this is her calling to be another avenue of how you can get help, and how she's turned her experience into something I feel like is a beautiful, necessary, and absolutely important thing in today's world, because it's not easy at all. So Charlene, could you let everybody know how they can find more of you if they want your help, insight, anything at all?
For sure. And I love getting, getting messages from people. If you heard the episode and you want to just say, hey, I listened, just want to reach out and say hi. Fantastic. I love all that. But you can find me on Facebook, Charlene Madden, speaker and author, an empowerment coach. You can find me on Instagram, Charlene Ann Madden. You can find me on TikTok, which I just absolutely love. As an old lady, I love doing that stuff. Charlene Madden 1. You'll see my goats on there. So if you want to see my goats, come to TikTok. I have a website, charlenemadden-speaker.com. That's for my speaking, and my website for my coaching, because I do one-on-one coaching with women. And I also run a workshop once a year called Ignite Your Life. So you can find it at Ignite Your Life BC. You can go to ascensionwellnessstudio.com, and that's where you can book in to do working with me if you just want to reach out, say hey. But I would love to hear from anybody. So,
and I'll be sure to include in the show notes everything she just said, because we do communicate via email. So when this episode is released, you all can access these links in the show notes. And I would say, just me personally, Marquis saying this, is support is free. I encourage and support anyone who's bringing something more to this world, than yesterday, right? So, like, I'm a true believer. I'm a true believer in that. So the first supporter will be me. I'm going to make sure I get all those things in, and I can engage with her, because I have no limits to who I support at all. And well, I do have some limits. Let me say that. But you got to be, you got to fit. You got to fit what I support. So but this is something without questioning. Yes, I definitely support this. So be sure that you all go out and at least support. Give a like, give a follow, keep going. That's what I'm going to do. And encouragement and a community is what we build. And the only way we want things to be better in the future, moments like these where we can all bind together and be able to build off of these things. She's working very, very hard getting her message out there. She is like the top worker. She said 2 podcasts a day. Like, she's working, you all. I'm letting you all know that honestly and transparently that she's working, right? And she's doing it without any benefit or anything like that. She's just getting her story out there. And that's what I feel like is very, very commendable. So you said it on Instagram. I'm going to follow her right now on air. What's your Instagram, Charlene?
Charlene, whatever that underscore.
Underscore.
I'm like, I don't know. Charlene _ Madden. So ANNE and then MADDEN.
And guess what? I am following you right now.
Well, I will follow you back.
You said Charlene _ ANE?
ANNE.
NE. Man, okay. And I will follow you, and Instagram will be, I see you right there. There you go. Strong and beautiful woman. And I will follow you now. And I thank everybody out there today that will hear this episode and will resonate with Charlene. I resonate with Charlene. We all have been there before to some degree in our lives. And she, once again, reinforced why I do this podcast, why I'll continue to do this podcast, why I continue to get voices out there. We thank everybody who's out there listening today, who lended your ear, your time, and we support everyone who supports. Oh, and who doesn't support? You don't have to support. Hey, just go out there and listen, so it's all good energy and good vibes to everybody. Charlene, do you have any closing remarks before we wrap up this episode?
No, just thank you. And if you need help, reach out, and thank you for your service.
By all means. I don't even mention the service a lot here because I don't want people to think I'm doing this because of the service. No, you're fine. They know. They definitely know because everybody says it, but there's more aspects to me as a human being. The service is one calling, and this is a separate calling, but all of my callings are just as important. So thank you so much, Charlene.
You're welcome.
I appreciate you. Support you, and everyone look out for when this episode is released to support Charlene Madden, everything that she does. And
don't forget to hit subscribe,
like, share, all of those good things they say on YouTube that I don't know. Now she's good. She's got a TikTok. I am worlds behind the TikTok and Reel. So I'll check her out as well to see if I can get some tips, because me as a, I guess, middle-aged person, I'm still learning all these social media tactics and things like that. So, hey, we all want community. We're all having fun and all supporting each other. That's all that matters most. So wherever you all in the world, morning, evening, afternoon, wherever you may be, you all have a great and blessed day. And I hope you all got some out of this episode. And hey, thank you all for being participants and listeners to Flavor in Your Ear podcast. We will catch you all on the next one. Peace and love. We out of here. Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode. Please leave an honest review, subscribe, and share. Listen to us on all platforms. Follow us and ask questions on Twitter at Marquise Podcast Mailbag. Follow us on IG at Flavor in Your Ear Podcast. And like our Facebook page, Flavor in Your Ear Podcast. For exclusive content, info, special offers, and free entry into our monthly giveaways, send your email address to flavorinyourEar247@gmail.com to join our email list. If you're anxious, we have a snippet following our next episode's topic. Peace and love.